Week 5 is in the books for the Dallas Cowboys. It's some more good news that I want to get into and just positivity coming out of this Cowboys team after a win over look, we can call them what they were, a bad Jets team, but it is a win. It is a victory Monday, and you don't get those every single week, and if you're lucky, you get 10 or 12 of them over the course of a regular season. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a good thing. Before we dive into today's video, I don't know if this is going to get a push notification today. Multiple lives, multiple on demand, so I don't think this video is going to get a push notification. So help us out by sharing today's video on social media so we can keep the lights on here at Chat Sports. First bit of good news and elements, I think this offense is on fire right now, especially relative to expectation, competition, etc. They continue to hum at a level up there with any offense in the NFL, and I think the quarterback in particular deserves a lot of credit. Not all the credit, but a lot of it. The Cowboys' offense this year is first in yards per game at 406.6. They are fourth in points per game. This is all going in to Monday Night Football, by the way, at 30.2 points per game. They're fourth in EPA per play, second in rushing success rates. We will come back to that here in a little bit. The quarterback scrambles have actually been pretty impactful in that area. The 2025 stats this year for Dak Prescott, passing-wise, completing 71% of his passes. He has been really good so far in that area. I've been very impressed with his accuracy. Look at some of the advanced numbers like catchable ball percentage and on-target throws. He's top 3 in everything, even despite some drops on that front. If this number holds, we shall see if it does. It would be a top 10 highest completion percentage season in NFL history, by the way. 10 TDs, 3 interceptions. 271.2 yards per game. It's what he's done the last 2 games. 71% completion rate, 556 passing yards, 30 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, and 0 turnovers. And Dak Prescott has done all of this despite not having CeeDee Lamb for these last 2.5 games, and his starting offensive line so far missing what amounts to 7 combined games. They were down to one starter against the Jets, and the offense was still humming and cruising and clicking. I have been very impressed by what Schottenheimer has done, what Dak has done. We'll talk more in depth this week about some of these schematic tweaks I think have helped unlock everything. But this Cowboys offense and the quarterback are playing at a very high level. So grade Dak Prescott so far this year. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. It's a pinned comment, by the way. Go grade Dak so far this year. The Dickens connection, as I continue to call it, Dak Prescott, George Pickens, was mostly bottled up against Sauce Gardner. Shout out Ryan Flanoy for stepping up and getting some of the targets and big plays going there. But Pickens did still show up late with a nice touchdown catch against Gardner, a great throw from Dak and a great catch from Pickens. Fun stat here from fantasy guy, but still, Michael Florio. George Pickens has 50-plus receiving yards and a TD in 4 consecutive games. The only Cowboys with a longer streak are Terrell Owens and Dez Bryant. That's good company to be in here. The 2025 stats so far for George Pickens: 37 targets, 23 catches, 357 yards as well, 15.5 average, 5 TDs. Pickens has been performing for the most part the way I think we were all hoping he was going to perform. I like what I've seen from Pickens. He and Dak are clicking on a pretty good level there. There's still some moments of like, okay, that was kind of weird, whatever. But like overall, it's not an accident, by the way, I feel like, that George Pickens gets to play with the best quarterback he has ever played with by a pretty clear margin. And he already has as many touchdowns in one season in Dallas than he had in any one season in Pittsburgh. He had 5 as his career high. He's matched it in as many games. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. It is simple to play. You pick more or less on at least 2 player stats to get those picks right, and you could cash in. It is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more than on, say Josh Allen, pass yards, rushing yards, touchdowns, whatever. You can pick them all on the same lineup with Prize Picks. Follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or someone just picks you like, you can do it all in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. Monday Night Football lineup here. Isaiah Pacheco, who has not been great for the Chiefs, but it's a low more than less than 29.5. Trevor Lawrence, more than a half passing TD. Xavier Worthy, more than half rushing or receiving TD. So go download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Appreciate Prize Picks sponsoring us here on the Cowboys Report. Sticking on the offense here, Jake Ferguson has been productive. Maybe hasn't been the most efficient level of play so far out of Ferguson, but he has actually been among the more productive receivers in the NFL. He is second in the NFL in catches and fourth in targets this year. He has caught 41 passes. It is a low average, just 272 yards for a 6.6 average catch rate there, and 3 touchdowns. But relative to where he ranks among tight ends, it's up there. He's first in targets. He's first in catches by significant margins. By the way, he is 6 more targets than anybody else, 12 more catches. In fact, per Pro Football Reference, he is tied for the most catches by a tight end through the first 5 weeks of a season at 41. He's fourth in yards. He's tied for third in touchdowns, and is actually third in total yak. Bit of a slow start to the year. Still want to see more forced missed tackles. The nice screen catch and runs certainly helping out that yak total there. But I think forced missed tackles, some more after-catch dynamic ability is what's missing just a little bit so far from Ferguson's game. So are you glad the Cowboys paid Jake Ferguson? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. We're going to stay on the offense for one more note here. That's Javonte Williams. And look, I was not convinced it was going to be a great signing. I think there were very valid doubts about Javonte Williams because, frankly, his production, but on an individual basis, wasn't good last year in Denver. So far this year, he has been dealing. 79 carries, 447 yards, 5.7 yards on average is incredible production. 5 touchdowns, just the 1 fumble lost as well. I love what I have seen so far out of Javonte Williams. And it's not just the raw numbers. We'll talk about the offensive line later on. These advanced stats, or at least some of these are advanced stats. Yards is not, but stats and rankings here. Third in yards with 447. He's fourth in yards per carry. These are all among running backs, by the way. Second in touchdowns. He is first in next-gen stats, yards over expected, which is based on player tracking blocking situations mostly. And, down and distance and everything else there. First in rush EPA, 0.89, despite the fumble. Second in yards after contact per carry at 4.5. He is tied for 8th in explosive runs. He is 6th in success rate as well. Everything is kind of coming up top 10, top 5 with the way Javonte Williams has fared this season. Now, I got a video cooking up here later this week about the Cowboys run game and the impact Clayton Adams and company have had on it. If you want to check out that video, I'm excited to break it down for you. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. Defensive note I want to get into here. I do think for the first time all year, maybe all year, the defense did its part for the entirety of the game, and the pass rush very much showed up. Next-gen stats from the pass rush stats here. This is a little bit different than the PFF numbers you might see out there. Next-gen stats was a little bit more on player tracking data, so there are some differentiations there. But Cowboys defense had a 50.9% pressure rate in their Week 5 victory over the Jets, their highest mark of the season. They averaged just 2.32 seconds to get pressure, their fastest time of the year by almost a half second on average, by the way. 12 different Cowboys defenders recorded at least 1 pressure in the game, with nearly every defensive player who rushed the passer successfully successfully generating pressure. It was 12 of the 14. These are the next-gen stats on the pressures, again, some differentiation on others. But Dante Fowler had 8 at a 30.8% clip. Ezraku had 6. I think the breakout is coming for him soon. Jadeveon Clowney had 5. James Houston had 5. Kenny Clark had 3. Solomon Thomas had 3 as well. You can see the pressure rates next to the total pressures as well there. Osa Odigizua had 3. Sam Williams only had 2. He's been a bit disappointing. And then on some blitzes / spy stuff, Maurice Leafau, Kenneth Murray, Shamar James each had 1. Even Mozzie Smith ended up having 1 as well. Look, it is clear the Jets' offensive line has some issues. But this is exactly what the Cowboys defense needs. You have to get something out of your pass rush, or else you're just not going to have success in the way you need to throughout your entire defense. Every single level needs to have a little bit more success from that unit. And if this can continue, that's a good thing. Is it a guaranteed success going forward? I'm not so sure. That's why we're going to discuss trade targets at edge later on. So should the Cowboys get another pass rusher? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. 1 for yes, 0 for no. One more note here between the Broncos and the Eagles with how things played out here. Good news for the Cowboys. Things are not great in Philly, which is kind of insane to say about a 4-1 team fresh off a Super Bowl, but there are lingering frustrations here. The offense has not looked great in the second half. They've had 1 scoring drive. This is the first time in a while now the Eagles kind of did this like, we're not actually playing well and we should probably lose, and they actually lose game. They've kept winning games like this. This is the first time in over a calendar year they have lost a game with a healthy Jalen Hurts at quarterback for the entire game. It's very unusual they actually lose this. But like this happened finally. There are reports already that both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are unhappy. They are frustrated. They want more catches. They want more targets. You can go back and watch the game, and it just kind of feels like they're really trying to keep everybody happy inorganically, and it leads to kind of a disjointed offense. I'm not going to write off Philadelphia. They're the defending champs. They're probably going to be a playoff team and have success again this year, but that is worth mentioning.